I didn't know this, but Canada actually has the highest rate of immigration of any G8 country. In fact, when we look at it, 1 in 5 Canadians are actually foreign-born. And when we look at metropolitan areas like Toronto, we see 1 in 2 people from Toronto are foreign-born. In fact, when we look at when we look at people immigrating into Canada, we actually see about 66% of the immigrants are ultimately going to metropolitan areas. So that means places like Toronto and Canada are really reaching that kind of 50% mark of basically all the citizens within those regions being foreign-born. But that said, there hasn't been a lot of research, and it's been a big challenge for marketers to really understand who these people are and how to reach them, and really, what's their value. So really what the goal of this research was to really show advertisers how to reach this audience.
If we want to target these people, if we want to reach them, quite a different story, right? They're taking language classes, they're taking continuous education classes. And they speak in 2 languages, right? They still want to consume media on English, but at the same time, they want to consume media in their native language, right? It's 50-50 split. They pay extra to watch TV on their native language. They do access news from their native websites from their country of origin. But at the same time, as they do that, there is certain areas of content, which was extremely important for Yahoo to learn. There's certain areas of content they're more likely to consume in English than in native language. Because as we learned from on a qualitative level, this is their water cooler conversation, their coffee break conversation, the conversation which need to maintain in order to have something common with their Canadian friends, Canadian colleagues. This is sports. You have to know things about hockey in Canada. Of course, you need to watch news and know local news. You have to watch movies, or like also things around cooking, kind of local cooking. But no matter what, like when we look at these key areas of content, news, movies, sports, and cooking, they're more likely to consume this content online than on TV compared to Canadians. They're way more inclined to browse the websites. They spend more hours a day on digital than on TV, and they spend more time with devices, not traditional TV or traditional radio devices, but computers, laptops, and smartphones. As you can imagine, you cannot really come to the country and bring a TV on your suitcase.
For A&E networks, and potentially for many of you, the VOD platform has been a platform that has really increased in its importance significantly over the course of the past few years. Last year there were over 9 billion FOD transactions. So it's been a medium it's been a platform that has grown very rapidly. For A&E in particular, if you look outside of television and its associated DVR activity, so if you look at all other platforms for distribution, VOD is now comprising over 50%. It's over the majority of that viewership. And of course, we know that in the VOD platform, ad avoidance is significantly lower. So even where people have the ability to fast forward, that's about a third less in terms of the rate at which that's occurring. So that's a huge advantage potentially for that environment. Now, in terms of how to monetize the VOD platform, of course, the activity that occurs in the first 3 days is going to end up in the C3. For A&E, that only accounts for about 31% of the viewership. For the rest of the viewership, day 4, the challenges of monetization are a little bit more complicated. Digital ad insertion will significantly, of course, improve that, but the obvious revenue streams are really right now primarily in the first 3 days. So the key to really monetizing VOD is 3 things. 1, you need to figure out how to capitalize better on days 4+. And DAI will really help with that. So that's one potential increase in revenue stream. The second, of course, is to increase the extent to which the viewership occurs in the first 3 days, because that is monetizable already through the C3. But the third way, really, which is about increasing and boosting both of the others, both DAI and increased C3, is to improve the yield associated with that viewership, which fast-forward disabling really enables. So fast forward disabling is important in this context because it really helps monetize the other two. So just to give you a sample, this is just a sample premiere episode looking at it. The VOD environment on its own improves the C3 rating 6%. That's very significant, of course, in terms of revenue. But disabling fast forward boosts that by another 50%. So this represents a very significant additional revenue stream, of course, for A&E. So this is why it's important, but of course, that's the advertising side of the equation. If it turns out that on the programming side, if programming declines, if you had diminishing programming, or if there were fewer subscribers available because people were turned off by the whole disabled proposition, then of course it wouldn't matter because the boost that you were getting would be countered with another movement in the other direction. So it only works really on the assumption that the trade-off is worthwhile. And so just to give you the quick Reader's Digest version of what you're about to see, we knew that this would be good news for advertising. It's self-evident. If you don't see an ad, it's far less likely to deliver an impact. So it didn't take a lot of rocket science to work that part of the equation out. But the key question and the heart and soul of this study was at what cost? What would the trade-off be, even if it was delivering the better ad revenue?
So just a quick word about the CRE for those of you who don't know. The CRE is a group of Nielsen clients. It is not Nielsen, it's the Nielsen clients, who some of the people in the room still are members of that community. And we're about improving methodology. We're not here specifically to identify specific behaviors or answer specific marketplace questions, but we exist to improve methodology. It's a collective group that collaborates. This particular study, and here are some of the companies on the CRE. You might recognize some of those brands. The specific research questions that we asked in this multi-platform world are, what are the new viewing patterns that are arising? We know we have Nielsen currency data, but Nielsen doesn't measure everything. And so we're looking, what's new, what's different, how do we capture it? How does video viewing differ by device in the home and out of the home as well? So in that case, it's looking broadly at TV viewing. When I say TV, I include video. And what motivates the selection and purchases of new viewing technologies and services? We actually did, I don't think we mentioned here, an acceleration study giving people money to see what do they buy when we do that. And we had two research objectives in mind. One is to understand the changing media landscape resulting from internet technology and video platform proliferation, because change is all over. This whole conference has been about that change. It is mind-numbing. If you leave this conference and your mind is not a little numb, I congratulate you, but you probably weren't listening. And secondly, to inform the development of strategies for audience measurement. Again, the purpose is to improve measurement, not to answer specific questions about behavior or marketplace questions for a particular company, but to improve measurement.
And the winner is Not So Fast. The benefits of fast forward disabling, Dwayne Barron. Thank you very much. Here's your trophy. It's a bottle of wine.